Hello and welcome back to another episode on inspiring hikes. In this episode, I will be discussing one of the most important things in my YouTube channel, rain tips. If you don't watch the video on how to pack a bag and you accidentally pack your toilet paper on the very bottom of the bag, when you have to poop, you'll have to pull all of your gear out and find your toilet paper. Not a big deal. But if you don't watch the video on how to set up a tent, you'll probably figure out how to set the tent up eventually. This video on rain tips is extremely important because if your gear gets wet, your trip will be miserable. A wet sleeping bag will not keep you warm at night, and a wet sleeping bag will weigh 6 to 7 pounds instead of 2 pounds. So this is a very important video, and I hope you pay attention to the tricks and tips that I have. With that being said, there's multiple ways to do things, and these are just suggestions of what worked best for me during my thru hike. So first off, my number one rain tip would be just to embrace it. The rain can come at any time, whether it be morning, night, middle of the day. Whenever it decides to rain, you can't stop it, so you might as well enjoy it and hopefully be prepared and ready for it when it comes. So just splash through the puddles, play like a kid, and embrace the rain. Without the rain, you wouldn't have grass, trees, oxygen, or water to drink. So the rain's a good thing. Don't be mad when it rains. Something you can do to help prepare yourself is check the forecast. While you cannot stop the rain, we are able to predict the probability and when it's going to start and when it's going to stop, because most of the time the rain will stop. Very few days will it rain all day long. So you can check the forecast and plan ahead. If you wake up and it's raining, check your phone. Most of the time you will have service on the trail. So just look at the weather forecast, and if it's going to stop in a couple hours, we'll just spend the morning in your tent and wait for the rain to stop. Then once it stops, get up, pack up your gear, and start hiking. You can plan to take your breaks and lunches at a shelter, or if you happen to see a overhanging rock or a cliff, that's an excellent spot just to sit on the ground, get under the cliff, and get out of the rain. One of my bad habits is smoking, and I was a big fan of looking for cliffs to take smoke breaks. So just trying to get out of the rain any way possible. Another big factor for dealing with rain is to have your backpack properly packed. So in the morning time, when you're packing your backpack, first 3 things you want to put in there are your sleeping bag, your sleeping mat, and your camp clothes. You'll have 2 pair of clothes, 1 hiking outfit that can get wet, and a second outfit that you put on whenever you arrive to camp that you want to keep dry. That way you're warm at nighttime. So if you got rained on the day before, unfortunately, in the morning time, you'll have to put on wet clothes and take off your camp clothes so they are dry for the next evening. Your camp clothes, sleeping bag, and sleeping mattress go in the large white trash compactor bag at the very bottom of your bag, and you want to make sure to tuck this bag in extremely well in the morning time so that your sleeping equipment remains dry. It is extremely important to have that stuff packed tightly in the bottom inside of the trash compactor bag. Another piece of gear is what I refer to as the shower cap. Anytime it's raining, you obviously want to have this shower cap on your bag. not only protects your bag from getting wet, but whenever you decide to take a break and relax and sit down for a second, when you put your bag on the ground, it doesn't get wet. This helps protect it from sitting on the ground also. These do have hooks, so you want to make sure this is hooked to your backpack, because whenever it's raining, it's most likely going to be windy, and I have seen these things blow back down the trail and fly through the trees. So make sure you hook your shower cap to your backpack. One other thing that you would like to do, or I would recommend doing in the morning time, if you know it's going to be raining throughout the day, is to go ahead and prepare a lunch snack. So whether you want to eat beef jerky or peanut butter or a Snickers bar and some pepperoni, in the morning time when you're still in your tent, go ahead and get that lunch out of your food bag and store it on the outside of your backpack. So you have a lunch snack easily accessible, that if it's raining throughout the middle of the day, you don't want to have to go through your bag and dig out your lunch. So if your bag's closed, you can still access your lunch outside. That's just a small prepping thing to do in the morning if you know it's going to rain, to prevent having to get back into your backpack. Phones, electronics, and cigarettes. If you know it's going to rain, you don't want to get out your pack of cigarettes and have them get rained on. So I would recommend pulling out 3 or 4 cigarettes and putting them in its own Ziploc bag, similar to your lunch. That way they're easily accessible and you don't risk getting your whole pack of cigarettes wet. I know from experience it's not easy to keep them dry and smoke them while it's raining. Same with your phone. If I knew it was going to rain, I wouldn't listen to music. I would put my phone in a waterproof bag inside of the backpack. If you got rained on throughout the day, whenever you get to camp, you'll want to change into your dry camp clothes once you get your tent set up, and wring out your wet clothes. If you just hang them up to dry, they'll take a lot longer to dry if you don't wring them out. So take your dirty socks or your wet socks and your wet shirt and wring out as much water as possible, and then hang it over a tree branch. And if you're lucky, you might have dry clothes by the morning time. Another little trick that I enjoyed was just to stop and take a break when the sun came out. So if you get rained on for 30 minutes or an hour or just a small shower, once the sun comes back out and you find a clearing along the Appalachian Trail or somewhere along the trail where the sun is shining, go ahead and stop, take your shoes off, sit down, take a break, and let your gear dry out. Normally you're in a green tunnel, and when you're hiking, your gear can't dry. But if you find some sunshine, I would recommend taking a break and letting your gear dry out. If you encounter rain throughout the night and you wake up to a wet tent, grabbing the tent and shaking it in the morning before you pack it up will help shake off excess water. A wet tent can weigh twice as much as it does dry, so shaking off a little extra water makes a big difference. One perk about rain is the springs won't be dry. There was a point in New York where we had not had rain for 3 weeks, and every single spring, creek, and water source was dried up. So that's one of the bright sides about rain, is you don't have to carry any extra water, because you'll be able to scoop up water anywhere along the trail. And the last thing I want to discuss is rain jackets. You do want to have a lightweight rain jacket. I personally do not hike in a rain jacket because they do not allow your skin to breathe, and they get extremely hot, and you will be sweating underneath the rain jacket. So while it may be keeping you dry from the rain, you get so hot that you sweat anyway. And then your rain jacket's wet on the inside and the outside. So me personally, I leave the rain jacket on the top of my bag on the inside and just hike in my clothes. My skin is waterproof. There's no need for a rain jacket when your skin is waterproof. And if you save your rain jacket to when you get to camp, it's more useful at camp with dry clothes when you really need it. I believe that's all I have to discuss about rain tips. I hope that made somewhat sense. Stay dry, have fun, happy trails.